Hey, what's going on? Hey, everybody. So I got a buddy here. We're going to just shoot the shit, and we ain't got nothing else to do. So first of all, obviously, please like, follow, subscribe, Treeline Podcast. We are sitting down with a couple White Claws. If you ain't got one, fucking get one. All right. This is my friend Eric. We went to school together back in 2019, 2018, and 2020, right? You're still at the school. I know that.
I am. Yeah.
Working on your master's, right?
Correct.
Tell me about that. And briefly explain, like, what do we go to school for, and how did we meet each other?
So we went to school for aviation management, and then I graduated in 2022. I think you graduated in 2021, correct?
I graduated December 2020,
Okay.
Almost 2021.
But you were in the 2021 graduation class. 2020 to 2021 graduation class.
Maybe. I know the date that I finished was December 2020.
All right. So I ended continued with my master's for airport operations, and that's what I'm doing right now. And I only got 3 classes left, which is equal to 6 months.
Okay, so you got 3 classes left, and you'll have your master's degree.
I'll have my master's degree, yeah.
So then what's from there? You got a job lined up or what, dude?
So I am currently working at an airport facility, not at the actual airport though.
Okay, so what are you doing at the airport? What facility? You talking about like a
Sanford? Yeah. So I work for an MRO at Sanford.
All right. What's an MRO?
That would be maintenance repair operation.
Oh, cool. All right. And what are you doing over there?
So I'm a planner for them on planning all the aircraft.
You like it? Like,
I
how
do.
long have you been doing it?
So I've only been there for about 2.5 months,
Okay.
and I really enjoy it. It's like one of the best jobs I've ever had. I love my boss.
Yeah, but you're doing that, and you're still in school at the same time.
I'm still in school at the same time, and I'm also working as a work study at the school.
Is there like some kind of contingent or something? Like, once you complete your degree, is the job going to give you anything? Or
So, at this point, it's just going to be whatever happens. There's going to be a lot of growth coming around with the company, so I'm looking forward to it.
So
I'm not going to go anywhere at this point.
You said MRO or MBO?
MRO.
All right. So at the MRO, your job is to plan.
To plan all the maintenance events that are coming in for the
associate wise or with the MRO. Who do you deal with specifically? Like, who do you?
It's just me and my boss.
Oh, so you don't deal with pilots or nothing?
No.
Oh, cool. Customers, nothing.
No.
Dude, that's dope.
No. I don't have to worry about anything except just get my job done.
Yeah, that's what's
and
up.
Just plan for right now. I'm about a month out for all of our jobs.
And you're doing this 40 hours a week?
40 hours a week.
Okay. Same days every week, or is it like
it
a fucked
is?
up schedule?
It is. No, it's same days, Monday through Friday. And I, with this holiday, so I get the holiday pay off. And
is it good pay?
It is.
All right, so it was worth it getting that aviation degree?
It was.
All right, because I got the same degree.
I know.
And
I've been trying to get you, I've been trying to ask you and see where you want to go with it.
Dude, I don't know, man. It's not that I don't want to be in aviation. It's just like, I think I had, obviously I had like the GI Bill. And I was like, fuck it. School's free for me and I make money. So it's just stupid of me not to use it. So I used it. Not really with the intent to use the degree, but I got the bachelor's degree, which is cool to have a bachelor's degree. But now, after doing that degree, there's just so much death and hell and fucking scary shit in aviation that I didn't realize before going to school for aviation. And I don't know what it is, maybe Everglades specifically, but I feel like that was harped on pretty good by our instructors that aviation industry has been built through blood, right?
It has.
Yeah. Dude, so I think after getting that degree, I think I was just like, okay, I'm going to try to stay away from planes.
Well, so the funny thing is that if you actually look back at the history of aviation and where it actually started from, roughly 80% of that of crashes were actually from instrument and
failures or instrument
failures, instrument and everything like that. And then what happened is that as the aviation industry grew and became more reliant on updated instruments and electronics, now it's changed where 80% of crashes are human error.
Except for those 737s?
737s were the example of
the one example of software.
Of software issues. But also, again, the pilots at that point were not trained properly to handle those when they went over to Malaysia.
It's just it's difficult to hold that argument, right? Okay, you can put it on the pilot, but if it's multiple pilots, then you got to put it on the training, right?
Right. So at that point, then you have to go back and figure out the.
It was at that point they grounded all 737s, right?
737
Maxes, yeah.
Maxes, not all of them, but just the 737
just
Max.
the Max.
They grounded them. They figured out what was going on. Boeing decided to go ahead and change it.
Yeah.
And at that point, it took 18 months to revamp everything and revamp the training. And then at that point, they're still back in service now. And they're one of the safest aircraft. Now.
Yeah, but how do we get there? Through a lot of blood.
So really, if you think about it, though, how many people die at a hospital compared to an airplane crash?
Well, how often do 200 to 300 people die at the same time of all different ages, pretty much only in plane crashes? I mean, can you think of another time that happens?
Okay, but at hospital, there's, 100,000 people that die a year?
Of normally, hopefully, natural causes or some other health or anything.
Okay,
right?
But if you look at that, then, okay, a hospital, like one hospital has, 100,000 people. That's not... So,
one hospital has 100,000 people in it.
Well, what I'm saying
I don't
is...
think it has 100,000 people.
50,000.
In one hospital, dude.
Okay, call it 20,000.
Dude, I'm not even saying... you might have 5,000 people in a hospital.
Okay, so 5,000 people, and how many are on an airplane? 320.
Yeah.
Okay, so 5,000 people compared to the 320, 5,000 people die a year...
Versus
the 300...
2 to 300 in a singular flight.
In a singular flight, but
all right.
But it's also over how often does an aircraft crash happen.
Okay, so
if
that's a good argument, right?
So
there's more car accidents than plane crashes.
Correct.
Of course.
And there's more deaths in a car accident than there is airplane crashes.
There's more deaths in car accidents.
That's what I'm saying.
In a car accident.
No, in
plane crash, there is more deaths in a plane crash than a car accident, for sure.
For sure. Because you have the people. But how often does an airplane crash?
Let me finish my thought, bro. Okay, so like if a plane crashes, 200 or 300 people die instantly, right? You don't have 200 or 300 people dying instantly in a hospital or in a car accident.
But over time.
Sure, over time, right?
So
but when you die in a plane crash, let's say that you're coherent enough or conscious enough to know what's going to happen. You know what I'm saying? Like, you know that everybody on that flight has the same amount of time left. It's not overtime. It's about maybe 15, 20 minutes. You know what I'm saying? If you're lucky.
Sure.
So I'm saying, like, I guess my argument is I'm always going to be against aviation, dude. I'm only against aviation because I went to school for aviation. I feel like that's where I stand with my argument. And the only reason why is because these companies, and you can refute it or you can try to argue this if you want, but these companies will literally put safety regulations that they know can save lives on the shelf until they have to pull it because blood's been spilled. Am I wrong?
So,
wait, I'm going to try to say that better. If there are safety regulations that can save lives, but it costs money, those will be shelved until it's necessary to pull them off the shelf.
No.
I disagree with that, bro. I just disagree.
No, because the FAA, especially when it comes into Part 121, which is commercial.
Okay.
Those aircraft are specifically, regulated by the FAA so often, so much that they have to maintain their maintenance programs, everything like that, and they have to follow everything. Just recently, I'm sure you've heard of on the radio and on the news that, Southwest Airlines.
Yeah.
Good example. They canceled over 500. What was it? Over 50 some flights
because of
maintenance issues.
Okay, so
because
that's good.
What was happening was that the reason why they were canceling so many is though that they didn't tell you is that the maintenance events were canceled because the technicians were on strike. So
it was they were grounded due to maintenance, but the maintenance workers were on strike. So they were basically grounded indefinitely, at least for the time being.
Time being until the strike was over with.
Okay.
So
I like hearing that. That's nice to hear.
So they had to ground all their aircraft.
Okay.
You know, and that's why they canceled so many flights. Look, but man, I mean, aviation is always going to be
sketchy.
Be one that nothing will always, until something happens, then something else will change.
That's what I'm talking about with the history being written in blood. That's why I feel like the reason. That's why I feel like certain safety regulations might be shelved until if it's not financially viable, they might be shelved until it's forced to be put out.
Well, so
that's kind of the thought process I get from coming out of an aviation school that teaches you that history's built through blood.
Correct. I'm not disputing that at all. I'm not arguing with that. I agree with that.
No. Okay. I didn't think you were arguing. I guess I just want to make it more understandable. It's hard for me to put shit into words sometimes, so I guess I just want to make more.
Completely understand.
Hold up. Let me just check the time. Oh my God, we're doing great, bro. You can keep going. Listen, man. I've talked to you about this before, bro, and I've done a couple podcasts on this already. So some people that watch might know. I am obviously like, and I've talked to you about it, and you told me straight up, no, I ain't seen shit, bro, because you've been on a lot of planes. Your dad was a pilot, right? In Alaska?
So my dad was. I grew up in Alaska, born and raised, and my dad had a Super Cub on floats because we lived, and a lot of our stuff was Part 91, which is just general aviation. You know, you're not using it for a business.
Okay.
So it was just Part 91. He had his pilot's license, and my dad and I were flying around all the time.
That's fucking cool. But you never saw nothing weird.
So
and now, let me clarify, because
what do you mean by weird?
Yeah, so we talked about it the other day, I think. But basically, like, I'm talking about, like, we got all these military aviators coming out now talking about weird shit they've seen, and you spent a lot of time in the sky. So I asked you in the past if you've seen anything weird, and you've told me no. I don't know. Has your dad ever talked about anything weird, or
no?
Do you know any other aviators that brought shit up to you?
I have not.
Because you've seen the news, right? Like, you guys are coming out of fucking the woodworks, bro.
Yeah, I have not seen anything weird like that at all. Especially, I know what you're talking about.
How do you feel about the this new, I guess, what do they call it? Declassifying, or not declassifying, what's the fucking term I'm looking for? Disclosure. What do you think of this whole new disclosure movement, dude?
Well,
in the aviation world, because I'm asking you specifically because you spend your whole work week in the aviation world,
right?
So, and I know you're not talking with pilots every day, but I mean, you're in the community. So what the fuck's going on, bro?
I haven't heard anything on it, to be honest. I mean, my opinion is that, okay, if we have UFOs, we have extraterrestrials, I mean, the fact is that I think that we all need to be aware of it. That it needs to come out, to be honest with you.
To make a safer aviation environment?
Yeah, just to make it where people are not double guessing and be honest.
Yeah.
You know, the government needs to be honest with people, to be honest with you.
That's asking for a lot from the government, bro. and I learned that.
But
dude. Yeah.
I think the only way that we can actually be honest and transparent is have trust in the government. Well, right now we have no trust in the government. Yeah. The government's been screwing everybody else over. And I wasn't trying to go on to politics on this.
No, dude. Hey, dig in.
But
yeah.
I think what needs to happen is that these politicians that are in office have been in office way too long.
Yeah.
And then we need to have term limits. 4 years, 4 terms, which is 2 years, which is 8 years, in a House Representative.
The House Representative. Okay.
Two terms, which is 12 years, in a Senate. You're done. The whole idea about our forefathers and everything else like this was for us not to have lifelong term politicians.
Monarchy, right?
Right. Yeah. So, and that's what we're seeing right now.
We see our version of it.
But it's getting worse. Mm-hmm. I mean, I just saw an article the other day of our inflation rate's at 16.9%. Our gross income that we're taking home in our pockets is at negative 2.9%, almost 3%. So you're looking at a total of 19% that's being away from what we can actually bring home. And our cars and everything that we see at the gas stations can actually come down if we actually start using our own resources, our own natural resources. And that's what we need to start doing.
You know, we just talked about a job specifically in China, right?
Right.
Making ridiculous money, which we can get into the details.
Right.
But I'm saying, would it make sense if you thought of it like, okay, if we're spending all our money for resources from other countries, where's all our money go? To the other countries, right?
Right.
And they can pay their employees
Correct.
more money.
Correct.
And now, what did we discover like a half an hour ago?
So China Airlines.
China Airlines is literally paying almost $500,000 a year, right? For
Right.
what?
Correct. For flight attendants.
For being a fucking flight attendant, dude.
And that's China Air.
And don't get me wrong. If you're working as a flight attendant and you want more money, I believe you should be making as much money as you possibly can. But we gotta fucking figure something out, right? If other countries, if we're giving money to other countries because they're giving us resources, but they have the capability of paying their flight attendants, dude, $500,000, bro.
And China
Should
Air.
we reconsider where we get our resources from? I mean, I'm just saying.
And what you don't realize though is that China Air is actually their flagship. So flagship is that China owns that airline.
Okay.
China, the United States does not have a flagship. We have, we used to have one, Pan Am.
Yeah.
But Pan Am went under as the United States flagship. So the United States does not have a flagship anymore. So China owns several different airlines, but China Air is their main flagship.
So when you say flagship, you're talking about like their fucking
their
baby,
China owns that airline. China,
I get
country,
that.
owns their
that.
airline.
But when you say flagship, do you mean like their pride or something, like their biggest thing or something?
Yeah, so that's the biggest airline that China owns. Like China, the country owns.
Okay.
The government owns that airline.
Oh, so it's not even a private airline.
It's not a private airline. It's a government airline.
Okay. So
United Emirates
of their federal government is paying $500,000 a year.
Correct.
And how much is our federal government paying our fucking flight attendants? We don't even have an airline.
We don't have an airline. So the private airlines have now taken over everything, especially when it came into deregulation.
Yeah. Okay. So what should we take away from that? What the idea of a young man or woman, 18, 19 years old, just get out of high school, right? Because we read the job
4,000.
We read the job qualifications, right?
Right.
You have to at least be 18 and have a high school education.
18 to 30.
And speak Mandarin, right?
Speak Mandarin.
They all speak Mandarin.
You have to speak Mandarin. You have to have a graduate,
no, it said high school degree, didn't it?
High school degree and a diploma. You have to have a diploma
from your high school, yeah.
Bruh,
go ahead. I'm sorry. It's just $500,000 a year. It's ridiculous. I'm sorry. It's just
they have 4,000 people apply a year for only 100 jobs that are available
for that gig.
For that particular. So that tells you that everybody wants that kind of job.
Well, that tells me something else too. That everybody wants that job because of the money, but that job belongs to their equivalent of federal government.
Right.
But people probably don't really understand that when they see $500,000 a year on the paper they're signing. You know what I mean?
Right.
They're probably just like, oh, this is a great job. I'm making a bunch of money. Bro, you just signed a contract with the federal government, whether you want to believe it or not.
So at that point...
Actually, I don't know. Can I say that?
Yeah.
Because maybe it's not contractual. Is it? Who knows?
I don't know. It'd be really...
Don't pull your phone up. No phones.
No, it'd be...
But I'm saying, like, if it was contractual, then they do not realize they're signing $500,000 contracts to their federal government.
Oh, I'm sure they do. I'm sure that it is under the contract.
So you think there is a contract for that job?
Absolutely.
So you think it's like signing up for the military, basically?
Yep.
So like 4 years, you can't leave.
Right.
So you're saying if they sign up for that specific airlines in China,
I'm sure that it's
probably contractual.
Well, that and also you on top of that, just like any other government job, you got full benefits, you got benefit package and everything else. Same thing with the military.
Yeah, but that all comes with the territory.
Right.
Yeah.
So the flight attendants with the flagship in China is the same concept.
That's insane, dude. So it's basically It's just, dude.
You're just flying around You're flying around the world,
dude. If you thought about it, like if you're running your own country and you wanted to kind of, I guess, be shady and sneak people into joining your military forces.
Well, that's the other thing is you have to be a China resident.
Yeah, they don't even want Americans. They don't want no one to sign up for this job except for Chinese people.
Yeah, and then even if you wanted to go and work for China, you have to have a visa. You have to have a passport. You have to have a work visa, a school visa, anything like that. Their borders are so tight, unlike here in the United States. It's crazy.
Oh, man. That's just insane to think about because, like...
And that's with every country.
What?
That they have a secured border.
Yeah. No. Okay. Now we're talking about borders. Okay.
I mean, if you think about
your little segue, bro. I see what you're doing. Look, man, we can talk about the border if you want.
I mean, I was just bringing it up.
We don't have a whole lot of time. We could do a part 2 as well. But yeah, let's just keep it aviation for this one.
But I mean, that's what I'm getting at. Even in aviation, there are certain laws and regulations that all of these countries and airlines have to abide by. And a lot of them are ICOA or even the FAA, but ICOA is the national or the world.
Can you remind me ICOA again?
International, I don't remember. It's spelled ICAO. And ICOA, and that's the world aviation world. And if companies are not abiding by that, then they cannot enter certain countries. Like
it's the international. I remember it starts international. I forgot what it stands for, but I do understand that's not like just an American assembly. That's like a worldwide agency.
Correct.
Yeah.
And that's the same thing with an
worldwide regulation agency.
Correct.
Yes. All right. Let me ask you one more thing about the. I guess. Obviously, you said you ain't seen nothing. All right, I'm digging into it. But let's talk about these agencies, man. Because I just did a deep dive on another podcast about the Air Force pulling a chapter out of a book that they were teaching cadets that we as Americans trust with our airspace.
Right.
You know what I mean? Teaching them that basically there's characterizations of different UFOs, right? And potentially different historical facts about them and shit like that. So I'm asking you, if the U.S. Air Force had pulled this chapter out, which they did, and I
disagree with that.
How do you feel about one, ICAO, for example, is a worldwide regulation agency,
right?
And then two, we got people like Lockheed Martin, right?
Right.
And we got other agencies, private agencies, right? That do you think maybe it's not even aliens, bro? Maybe it's just private agencies.
Yeah.
Not even, maybe not.
Maybe
like
it's Boeing or NASA and anything like that keeps record of everything that's going on. Yeah.
Maybe not NASA. I don't know. But maybe Boeing because it's private. NASA's not as private. Maybe it's private. I don't think it's private. I think NASA's more public.
Right. But Boeing has kept record of all airplane crashes, not just here in the United States. Okay. And same thing with NASA.
So Boeing has a detailed
database.
Yeah,
and so does NASA. They both have.
I'm asking you, man.
But that's just
you're smarter with me. You're smarter than me when it comes to aviation. Do you think?
I don't know about that.
When it comes to aviation, you are, bro. I'm telling. I mean, I know that. I just know that you are smarter than I am with aviation. But when it comes to like what the fuck this disclosure shit's been going on about, do you think it's more than likely just private agencies? I'm starting to think that more and more.
So
I'm not saying they invented shit. I'm saying that maybe they discovered something, kept their mouth shut about it. That's all I'm saying.
My thing is that once the government and once the military pulled that article out, you're changing at that point that it's okay to change history. I think that they should have left that book in there. Mm-hmm. I think that they should have left that chapter in there. And it's the same thing that they're doing to today's history books. They're pulling stuff out that they don't want people to know. And then at that point you're changing history. Well, history should not be changed. History is history. History is history, and then that way we can actually learn from our own history and learn from our own mistakes of what happened.
You make a very good point, bro.
So at that point, I think that the military, especially when it comes to the government, at that aspect of it, that they should have left that chapter in there.
Agreed.
And that they never should have changed it.
Agreed.
Because now you're teaching everybody else that it's okay to change history.
It's okay to hide, right?
Well, hide and change are the same thing.
But even so, like what you said just before.
Because once you hide it, you're changing it.
Yeah. Once you hide it, make sure if you go out of your way, which we have done in our generation.
Correct.
Not you and me specifically.
Right.
But people have gone down, knocked down statues.
Correct.
Took out textbooks, all kinds
Right.
of shit in our generation.
Correct.
Right? So who's to say, right? If we take out, for example, I'm just saying fuck it. For example,
Go for it.
Like these southern state statues that people knock over.
I think that is a disgrace.
Listen, what happens 500 years from now when
Correct.
we don't see these statues anymore? Will there be another American Civil War?
No, absolutely.
Because we don't remember the history.
Correct.
Because we deleted it.
Yep.
So is deleting history a good thing? Probably not, bro. I'm just saying, like, you might not agree with history. You might not like it. Deleting it is not the answer.
Right.
Deleting it just opens the door to it's gonna happen again,
Correct.
bro. Like,
absolutely.
I don't know. That's how I feel.
I'm 100% on that, and I agree with you. I think that once we change history, and we take stuff out of the history books that explains why we had the Civil War, why we had all these different things, then it makes more sense. But if you just hide everything of why we had the Civil War or why we, broke away from England, and you hide all of that stuff, it's going to happen again.
Yeah. You can't just eliminate it, man.
No, you can't.
Yeah, if you eliminate it, you open the door to potentially happening again.
Look at what happened with World War II.
What?
I mean, with Hitler.
Yeah.
He burned all his books. He didn't want people to know anything.
Dude.
Because when you
learn facts.
So when you learn anything and you challenge the government and you challenge yourself and you challenge other people, the whole idea is to actually get a different perspective of how they think and what they want. But when you start burning books like they did in World War II, and you have just the government telling you that this is how it's going to be and this is what you're going to do, and you can't ask the question why, and you'll be thrown in jail for asking.
Yeah, then obviously they're just trying.
Then there's nothing there.
Yeah.
So that's the whole reason why Hitler did what he did. He burned the books.
So that people didn't know that.
So people don't know, and people didn't learn.
Again, motherfuckers.
And, that was the biggest part. The other part was, he hated Jews.
Yeah.
He hated the Christianity because Christianity was an aspect of that he just didn't like.
Well, I've done a couple podcasts on a couple Nazis, and I did a podcast on a gentleman who was given the MOS from the U.S. Army. I'm not going to talk too much about it. John, what the fuck was his last name? I forgot. I think it's like 3 or 4 podcasts ago. I can't remember. But he was the executioner for the, I think it was like 9 or 10 dudes that were convicted in the Nuremberg trials.
Okay.
You ever heard of these dudes?
Yep.
Yeah. And he was the executioner. Bro. This dude, he made the ropes too short so it wouldn't snap their neck, so they had to suffer.
Yeah.
And he made the holes too small so when they fell through, they'd smash their head and they'd be bleeding the whole time they were dying. He wanted them to suffer, and he's an American fucking hero. I forgot his fucking name. All right, anyways, we're good. We're out. I love you guys. Hey, again, my friend Eric, you will see him hopefully in the future on another part. Who knows? Otherwise, please like, follow, subscribe to the Tree Line Podcast. We love you guys. Please keep coming back. Otherwise, tell your friends about it so they can tell their fucking friends about it, and we can all be fucking friends together. Later. Let's get the fuck out of here. Let's go have some more beer.
All right. Sounds good.